So it's come to my attention that there is technically an NFL game tomorrow. Now, however, it is only the Hall of Fame game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders. However, that does mean that the preseason starts next week. And I figured, since it's been a while since I last posted about the Green Bay Packers, I figured that I would take down some notes of from things I've been hearing in training camp and some other things that happened between my last video and now, and just kind of fill in the gap leading into the preseason for the 2022-2023 NFL season. So I do apologize. This is a little bit disorganized. However, I do think I have a pretty decent flow on my little cheat sheet here. So I'm just going to jump right into it before I keep rambling on. So some news from this offseason is the Packers have extended coach Matt LaFleur and GM Brian Gutekunst, and I believe they also extended, I forget his actual title, but I know that, I forget his name now, but the front office member on the Green Bay Packers, Rich Ball, I believe his name is, or Rich Ball, his last name is Ball. Um, he takes care of the salary cap for the Green Bay Packers and helping Brian Gutekunst work out deals with players so that the team can stay under the salary cap. Those three front office members have been extended. Um, Obviously, the most important being LaFleur and Gutekunst. And then Rich Ball is also very good with making numbers work and salary cap work. That's how Rodgers is able to get paid $50 million this year, but his cap hit's only in like the lower 30s, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, my nose itches, whatever. Um, and we can that there's plenty more stuff that goes into that, but on the surface, um, yeah, all good things for the Green Bay Packers. Before I keep rambling on even more, that was very wordy. I do apologize for that. Another piece of news that came out, I believe this came out about 2 weeks ago, is that team president Mark Murphy has announced that in 3 years he will be resigning because he will turn 70 years old, and because Mark Murphy serves on the board of directors for the Green Bay Packers, they do have a rule where if someone reaches the age of 70 years old, then they do have to resign. I'm not exactly sure why that rule is in place. I assume it's because, once you get too old, you still don't operate the same way you used to. Whatever, that's whatever. So yes, Mark Murphy will be resigning in 3 years, hopefully, and I believe he was quoted as saying, hopefully he goes out with multiple championships. Honestly, I'll just take one at this point, but if we can get multiple, great. 1 year at a time, though. Another piece of news that came out, this one is pretty important. Normally, the starting left tackle All-Pro David Bakhtiari, it was announced that, or released, I guess, if you will, that he had another knee procedure on his injured knee during this past off season. The one that he had surgically repaired when he tore his ACL, I believe 19 months ago, coming up on 20 months ago, which I believe was the playoff run of, what would that be, 2020? So yeah, almost 2 years now, just shy of 2 years. Yes, David Bakhtiari tore his ACL a long time ago, and then this offseason he had another procedure on that knee, which leads me to believe, and many others in the media to believe, that there is damage, or there was damage to more than just his ACL with that injury. Which is very unfortunate because he is a great player. He's probably one of the top 5 left tackles in football when healthy. I hope that he can recover and figure it out and be able to get on the field as soon as possible. However, I have it written down that I honestly don't think that we will see him in the first 8 weeks of the season. It would be a pleasant surprise to me personally if he starts playing before that. I hope that he does. However, with a knee injury to a bigger guy like Bakhtiari, he is a lineman. You do have to be careful with especially lower body injuries like that because there is more stress on those joints. So yeah, that's the David Bakhtiari news. I hope that he is able to make a full recovery, but I would not be surprised if we don't see him for the first half of the season. And then that was pretty much most of the off season. Now we're getting into bits of news that are coming out from training camp, which started last week, and then a little bit into this week as well. Christian Watson, the Packers' first round pick, He also had a minor knee operation. This one was a little bit more of a minor operation, kind of preventative. He started out, I believe it was in OTAs. He had a little bit of soreness in the knee that just wouldn't quite go away. I think there was also some swelling involved. So I think he had more of a, I think it's called an orthoscopic, a very minor, not kind of more of a surface level operation. Don't quote me on that, I'm not a doctor, but it was a minor operation, more preventative to hopefully prevent a further, more serious injury down the road. So anyway, he is recovering from that minor operation. He should be ready to go for, at the very least, most of the season, if not week one. Hopefully, of course, he can get back on the field as soon as possible. I think he is practicing back on the field, not quite doing full speed yet, but he is back on the field and he is trying to learn as much as he can. However, because of Christian Watson's absence on the practice field, fourth round pick Romeo Dobbs has making a name for himself in training camp. What do I have here? And he's been doing so well. He's actually earned high praise from Aaron Rodgers, who was quoted, I believe, either today or yesterday. Aaron Rodgers had said, quote, every day he's made at least one wow play. Rodgers goes on to say that we've had some guys over the years that do that, but they're all top 10 in Packers receiving history, which is really high praise from Rodgers. And it sounds like Rodgers is gaining a lot of confidence in Romeo Dobbs, which is awesome to hear if you're a Packer fan. Not only we have Allen Lazard, who's going to be our number one, and then obviously Christian Watson, who's probably going to be a number 2 or number 3 wide receiver. But to hear from Aaron Rodgers himself that Romeo Dobbs is making great plays, that is really good news for this offense that will no longer have Davante Adams to rely on in that wide receiver room. On the defensive side of the ball, Rashawn Gary is taking on a leadership role defensively and for sure in that front seven, and he's just getting guys fired up, and he continues to just keep making leaps and bounds in his development. And me personally, I think that Rashawn Gary could be a potential defensive player of the year candidate. If you look at his stats every year, he has improved his tackle and sack totals every year. He just keeps climbing up and up. So you would assume that in his fourth year, and especially without Zadarius Smith this year, Gary will become that solidified starter on the other side of Preston Smith on the outside linebacker position. You would obviously assume that he's going to further improve his numbers, and I genuinely do believe that he can be a defensive player of the year candidate this year. And then finally on special teams, this was a major issue for the Green Bay Packers, and it has been for the past probably 3 to 5 years. It's most likely cost the Packers at least 1 or 2 trips to the Super Bowl. However, the Packers did fix that by hiring Rich Bisaccia. I believe I talked about that in a video many months ago. But on special teams, I have heard that Rich Bisaccia is bringing the intensity, and he is showing little to no patience for mistakes or misassignments on special teams. I believe I saw earlier this week, or maybe late last week, that Rich Bisaccia, during practice, there was one time where the special teams, he didn't like the look of the way they came out of the huddle. Must have been like kind of sluggish, just jogging. So Rich Bisaccia ran 30 yards down the field, and he was yelling at the guys to get back in the huddle and do it again, which I love that intensity. I love that willingness to be perfect, if not very close to perfect. And honestly, if this Packers special teams can be literally anything besides bottom 5 in the league, I think that this team has a chance to do really great things this season, even without Davante Adams. That is all I have for now. Obviously, I'm going to be watching those preseason games, hopefully getting a look at some guys that have a chance to make that 53-man roster, and maybe some of these new guys like Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs, and seeing what they are able to do when they actually get a chance to go against different teams rather than just each other at 80% on the practice field. Like I said, that's all I have for now, and I will update you guys hopefully as the preseason rolls along, and for sure before week 1 when I will give my prediction. But that is all for now, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.